Let's bring him on in. Joining us right now, we'll make him Democrat of the Day for today. Mike Howard, Representative 50A, kind enough to join us as he has been in the belly of the beast in the House, watching as the special session went through. Representative, thank you very much. I really appreciate you giving us a call.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So I noticed in your timeline as you were in the House session on the special session that you were kind of surprised to hear Republicans basically implying that coronavirus is made up, that it's fake.
Yeah, and it was a little bit of deja vu. We've had basically each month we come back in session and have this debate. And the debate that the Republicans continue to want to have is one where they minimize the harm of this crisis and continually calling it a hoax, call the governor a dictator. In some sense, they make the best case for why we need the governor to have executive powers because they're completely unserious about governing. And of course, as we know, this is a deadly serious virus. Almost 2,000 Minnesotans have died. We had a member on the floor share a personal story about the coronavirus impacting his family, including a 9-month-old niece. And it's really harmful to the public when public leaders minimize the virus, which we've seen Republicans do from top to bottom for months and months now.
Now, I know that Mary Franson, the Republican, had a doozy of a speech, but was it the leadership as well? That the leadership was out there, downplaying coronavirus, saying this is not that bad?
Well, that has been the case from the get-go. Representative Doubt, their leader, he didn't speak today on the floor, but all the way back in March was sort of implying that this was a blip in terms of the news media creating hysteria, and speech after speech, incendiary or not, we hear Republicans say that we don't need to be taking this virus seriously. So Representative Franson described COVID as fear porn. Today, I wasn't expecting to hear the word fear porn on the House floor as much as I did today. We had, other members. She also described wearing a mask as a dystopian future, and we heard that the coronavirus is less harmful than the flu. I mean, stuff that I think generally the general public knows isn't true. But what's particularly egregious to me is when you look at the story about the wedding in southern Minnesota with 300 people, nobody wearing masks, and a huge spreader event. And I really believe that events like that are the direct results of public leaders from the president on down minimizing the seriousness. And it's just too bad that we can't come together as Democrats and Republicans around the common enemy, which is the virus. This really shouldn't have to be partisan, but of course it has been that way from the get-go.
Well, and as you say, to back up your point, if I understand things correctly, with the guests at that wedding, some of them are sick and are refusing to get tested for coronavirus just because I guess they feel this is owning the libs. And there's an element of this which is it's beyond parody, it's beyond ludicrous. It is there is almost are you guys okay? Is there everything working upstairs? Because I can't comprehend my congressperson, and I imagine you can relate this. Would you ever tell a constituent that just lost a family member or has been sick themselves during a pandemic that it was a myth, that it didn't exist?
Right. It is. If it wasn't so sad, it would be funny, and you really hope to God that nobody loses their life over this with that particular incident. And of course, the irony is that if we had a more united public front taking this virus more seriously, we would be able to meet this moment more quickly, and our economy would be able to open up more quickly. But when we have events like what happened in southern Minnesota at that wedding, and when we have folks not taking this virus seriously, the reality is we're going to be in this mess for longer. And so, I think as public leaders, each of us have a role to lead with reason and empathy, and try to get the word out and make sure that our constituents are well informed and do the best we can.
Mike Howard is joining us, Representative 50A, Richfield Bloomington, kind enough to join us today. What's also interesting is what is the news stories we are seeing right now? The colleges, they're going back. We just had the University of Wisconsin shut down, basically. They're going all online, and they're going to quarantine their two largest dorms there. Winona State, you've had it at Mankato State, St. Olaf. These are not Twin Cities area colleges. These are in these rural districts, many of them red districts, and they see this going on. There is this evidence, and it seems that the Republicans' main concern is football. We got to play football. And you're like, are you insane? It's got to be one of the more infuriating elements of this, because it's almost like that child in the kitchen who wants to touch the stove. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It is continually frustrating, and that's why, the debates on this in the House continue to be heated, because it is maddening when the health of Minnesotans are on the line. And, the virus does not discriminate against party around geography. That's what, that's why we're seeing outbreaks across the state. In some ways, I feel like early on, we heard folks kind of want to treat this, this is something that might be an issue in the Twin Cities. But of course, we've seen spreader events in meatpacking plants and all across the state. It's a huge issue. And so we need to continue to try to combat the misinformation and lead with science. And I am particularly grateful that we have a governor that's doing just that. And
yes.
That's certainly why House Democrats voted today to continue providing Governor Walz with the authority to continue doing what he's been doing since the beginning, which is making public health the very top priority and doing everything we can to help families, businesses kind of get through this. There's no magic wand. We don't live in a reality where we can just magically make things go back to normal, which is seemingly the plan of some Republicans, just to wave a magic wand. We needed to be serious, deadly serious about this virus and meet the moment.
Well, and as you said, without a doubt in my mind, if the Republicans were in charge of the state, they would have forced the state fair to be open. And can you imagine the crisis we'd be having in the state right now if that would have happened? I mean, I can't even comprehend. I want to make sure we understand the vote did happen, and of course the Senate did vote to end the emergency powers. The override of his emergency powers did not pass the House, correct?
That's correct. We voted a motion down 67 to 64, I believe, and the House has already adjourned our special session today. In a perfect world, this special session, we'd also be taking up a bonding bill. But, again, that's an issue where Republicans have not been serious about governing, and so we were unable to, take action. And the reality is, rather than complaining about the virus and really certain things that are out of our control, we should be focusing on what's in our control, which is helping create jobs, helping families, have enough economic security to get through this. There are things that are in our control as a legislature to do, but those haven't been the priority of Republicans.
I want to make sure I drive people to your website, Representative. Is it michaelhowardmn.com?
That's correct. That's my website. I would encourage folks to connect with me, and if I'm not your state legislator, email me anyways. I'd be happy to connect you with your state representative, because, ultimately voting starts next week on Friday.
Yeah.
And I really think so much is on the ballot, and I would encourage folks to spend what time they can helping to get folks out to vote, because it's going to make a difference who our leaders are in St. Paul when we come back into session next year.
I should mention as well that this is a point, Representative, I tell everyone, if you're in a relatively safe Democratic district, by all means, help out your local representatives, but go give a handout here to the Representative Mike Howard. This is, once again, 50A, Richfield, Bloomington. Volunteers, donations needed. We need to keep him in St. Paul. Obviously, a top-notch representative and keeping us sane in an insane world at times, that's for sure. MichaelHowardMN.com, MichaelHowardMN.com. I'll link to that a little bit later on the social media. Representative, I really appreciate the time. Thank you very much. I appreciate the look into what happened in the House.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Representative Mike Howard, 50A, Democrat of the Day.